Now, the weird part for him, and we will probably have an issue here, his special route only unlocks when you play a bunch of the other characters. So, our problem here is we have an opportunity for an alternate timeline. We have to destroy the Gundam in this fight, though, and the problem is, as soon as the Gundam gets low, it's going to try running. We cannot let it escape. Oh, the Zaku 2. I can't say I'm a huge fan of it in red, but oh, the Zaku 2. I miss the Zaku 2. I really don't care about Gundam, especially not when he's going to get in my way like that. That wasn't what I was trying. This Kai is not important, but if we can avoid him becoming an issue... Oh, you cannot out-melee Char in a gun cannon. Yeah, we gotta watch out for the Gundam. It can fuck us up wholesale if we're not careful. I never leave Kai alone, though, because you'll be trying to finish off the Gundam, and he will just ruin it with an intervening shot. I also don't want to overuse my rockets. I'm saving the assault for when he tries to flee, because he'll try to shoot me down to stop me from finishing him. I love the red comet kick. I'm faster. 3 times as fast as a normal Zaku. Okay, easy on the rockets. Ooh, that could have ended badly. Okay, we gotta wrap this up. There we go. Yes! Now I just have to avoid taking any additional damage for 20 seconds, because I'm a one-hit wonder now. Those gun tanks could kill me. Keep them suppressed. Just keep them suppressed. Come on. 7 seconds. Oh, no. I'm out of here. Oh, 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 it's a good thing the mission ended there. Oh, 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 oh. That had the hairs on my neck standing up on end. I shit you not. Now we have unlocked the special route, but as before, we're going to start with the cannon route. Machine gun. Cover. We're up against the Gundam, and I can't afford to upgrade the Zaku. Like, enough said. Another reason to run this now, apart from that tricky bit with Haman, because we're playing as low-tier mobile suits by the game standards, because these are one-year war machines and mass production models at that, we will be earning battle points much faster than when we played the hero machines. So when we do go back to the AUG route and we need to upgrade the Zeta and the original Gundam, we will have the points to do that now. Ooh, right in the face! Oh, Get some, Armoro. Oh, for God's sakes. Can I hit something, please? Yeah, no more shield for you. Your shield privileges have officially been revoked. Cool. Yeah, machine guns in this game deal very little damage, but they're very, like, inaccuracy tolerant, and they can still interrupt a rocket like a beam can. Ow, thanks for that. Oh, great. Ow! Here, have a grenade. Well, I'm just gonna peace out. Hope you don't mind. I have to be careful because white base rarely hits its shots, but if it does connect, it will wipe. If it does connect, it'll wipe me out. Ah, yes, this is what's supposed to happen. Char lures Garma into an ambush. Oh! God damn it. Don't take it personally. You can thank your father for this. Yes, there's Garma in the Ga or Gao attack carrier. And it gets blown up by white base during a suicide run. Of course, the only reason it was attempting a suicide run was because it had already taken a critical hit from the fleeing Gundam. So yeah, a little context for Char. He was the son of the former leader of the Republic of Zeon, Zeon Daikun. It was named for him.
Returning.
The thing is, Zeon Daikun's second-in-command, Degwin Soto Zabi, overthrew him and poisoned him. And so Char went into hiding for a while under an assumed name. In fact, Char Aznable is an assumed name. And he eventually rejoined Zeon with the express purpose of taking revenge for the betrayal of not only his father, but his father's ideas and ideals. So he basically led Garma into a trap, because Garma is one of 4 children of Degwin Soto Zabi. Zabi. 2 of whom would be killed by Char himself. One of whom would be killed by the other. Cassilia Zabi would end up killing her brother Giran after Giran killed their father. Lots of, like, corruption and you know, fratricide and so forth going on. Fratricide, patricide, it's just... Oh, it's not great. The aristocrats! I mean, if it wasn't for Lalah, Char would have killed his own sister because he didn't know that it was his sister. Because pilots don't exactly have name tags floating over their heads in actual combat. We do in this game because it's arcade style, so naturally. Oh, for God's sakes. There we go. Yeah, that's the tricky part about doing a Zeon route. You go up against the Gundam. And that's difficult because it is the Gundam. Because that's a point a lot of people made. Like, Armoro is definitely the stronger Newtype. But in terms of piloting skill, like, Char is better than Armoro, and, you know, fight me on it. Armoro manages to get by because he's a stronger Newtype and he has a better machine. If it was just, like, pilot v pilot in the same machine where Newtype abilities were not a factor, Armoro would have just gotten his ass kicked. Oh, come on. Oh, there's the trash cans themselves. The original gym mobile suit. That actually sounds like a garbage dumpster when it walks. When we run the Federation route, for the Titans, you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. They actually sound like trash cans. So yeah, why is it the gym? Well, there are many theories, but I believe the one that's official or most widely accepted is that it's supposed to be short for Gundam Mass Production Type. Now, why they didn't call it, like, the GM, MPT or whatever. They just call it the gym, but yeah, it's the Gundam Mass Production. Of course, as starting a trend with real robot things, Gundam in particular, the prototype turns out to be this god-tier super machine that an ace pilot naturally happens to find themselves in command of, while the mass production version is watered down for, cost-effectiveness reasons. I mean, if any of you had actually seen a tool room prototype of any sort of complex device, you know the prototype is the hunk of junk and the mass production version is the version that actually works. Because the whole reason the prototype exists is to find out what's wrong with the idea or the concept on a practical basis, because in the head of its designer, the theoretical basis, it probably works perfectly. But when you actually create the object and it exists in physical space, problems you didn't foresee happening will manifest. And that's what the prototype is there for, to validate whether or not the theory actually holds up in real space. And the mass production version takes that theoretical basis. Wow, thanks, Dom. So yeah, some would argue that, well, hey, wait a minute, if, like, the Gelgoog is Zeon's Gundam equivalent, why is it Armoro was able to beat Char? And it's like, well, because Armoro's Gundam was modified with the electro coating that was originally intended for the Gundam Alex, specifically for Newtype reaction speeds. Again, the whole space Jedi thing. And that gave him an advantage. Like, honestly, the only way these two would have actually had a fair fight is if they were piloting the same machine, and that never happened. I mean, by the time Armoro was using a Rick Diaz during the Grips conflict, not only were they allies, so there was really no excuse for them to be fighting, but Char had moved on to the Hakushiki, I believe. Ha! My shield absorbed that. So yes, the DJ, which I complained was kind of a piece of shit, and there goes the rest of my shield, was basically a souped-up version of this mobile suit. Oh god, a gun cannon? Oh! Still have the red comet kick. And an air combo for you. How do you like that? So I'm now alone. Federation reinforcements will continue to appear. I have to damage Armor enough before he'll leave. Alright, that didn't track at all. Yeah, I think this was actually Zeon's first production mobile suit to have a beam saber, because the Gion technically was the first Zeon mobile suit in, like, the main canon to have a beam saber, but it was a prototype, it was never mass-produced. The Gelgoog saw limited mass production, and it wasn't limited by any flaw in the mobile suit, it was limited by the fact that Zeon was on the losing end of the fight at that point and just didn't have the resources to make more of them. Surprise, surprise. Here's where we need Lalah lives. I think.
And may the glory of victory be yours.
Thing is, we can, if she dies here, we can play her route, and as long as we live there, it will unlock the route for Char. Because unlike when we were doing the Federation, where we just had to not kill her, that's not gonna work this time around. Because she's on our team. So we gotta try and keep the Gundam busy, And again, it's the Gundam. Nothing involving fighting the Gundam is easy. I mean, I can't even stun lock it with the beam rifle. Oh, and now Sayla's here, so we got the G-Fighter to add insult to injury. Oh, how did that miss? Owie! Hey! That was from Lalah. That was one of her damn bits. Oh, of course. I hate these mirror panel. And there goes Lalah. That didn't last long. Yes, her character is still spooling off story-relevant dialogue, even though she's already dead because of scripting.
Stop playing around with it.
Well, Lalah was the first to hit upon the idea that Char and Armoro should be working together, because if they did so, like, everything would be better. They could save the inner sphere or whatever. The Earth sphere, whatever. And the issue is, of course, is that it's, again, part of Gundam being a masterclass in... Well, not a masterclass, I doubt, but at least an important work of anti-war fiction that fundamentally these two men with all... Or they weren't quite men at the time, at least not Armoro. He was in his teens. But these two men had such potential, and if they could pool their resources instead of fighting one another, they could accomplish so much. But the nature of their sympathies and their prejudices and so forth holds them back from one another. You know, briefly, Armoro and Char saw eye to eye, and they did accomplish great things in that time. But it didn't take long before that fell apart, too. And it ties into kind of like the Newtype message of Mobile Suit Gundam, which is very much a kind of post-human war message of if we could all just understand one another, agree, and get along without having to oppress or dominate or, you know, generally many of the scummy things that humans do. I mean, imagine what the human race as a species could accomplish. The problem is, union in the human species is almost always the result of one group holding dominance over another group. I mean, that's true even in democratic societies. The majority rules, which means the minority is suppressed. I mean, there was a quote that saying democracy is fair is inaccurate. It has the broadest appeal because the larger group of candidates will be satisfied. Majority rules. But if you highlight democracy as follows, you say that democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. You certainly wouldn't find that very fair to the sheep.
And may the glory of victory be yours.
But yeah, Armoro and Char were capable of great things together, but they couldn't see eye to eye. They were constantly locking antlers, as it were. In some cases, quite literally locking antlers. So,
I can see the
it... Oh... It's... I'm trying to think of, like, a very artful way of articulating it, and I'm falling up short because I'm playing a game, and I'm trying to focus on playing the game. So yes, now we're the Zeong. Let's cover that bit of lore. Again, it has no legs. It was supposed to have legs, but Zeon ran out of money and time and decided, we're in space. Do we really need legs? I do not want to waste another, like, arm shot on a single gym that could be taken out with a mouth blast. Unfortunately, this game doesn't model the hip-mounted megaparticle cannons that this actually has canonically. The only reason the head even has a megaparticle cannon is because it can actually detach and be used as an escape pod. The rationale behind that being that new types are, of course, extremely valuable, and so you want to get them out of combat rather than have them die in a fight. And they'd already lost all the new types that they had been working with already, because the Brabro pilot, I forget their name, they died. Lalah soon died. Again, oh. Why is it whenever I go up against these Newtype machines, they're like greased lightning, but I pilot them and it feels like I'm flying, like space is full of molasses. It's so slow. I mean, according to the instruction manual, at least in terms of this game, machines like this are intended for long-range support. Which, you know, considering their ability to use remote weapons, makes sense. However, that's kind of difficult when you don't give the player the opportunity to maintain that critical distance. Yeah, the mouth beam doesn't track at all. And I have no melee, by the way. This thing has no beam sabers, no beam claws. It doesn't even have a punch because its fingers are the mega particle focusing arrays, which means that if it was to punch, it would probably crinkle its fingers, damage those focusing arrays, and blow its own hand off the next time it tried using its mega particle beam. Haha, I interrupted his attack. Boom. You missed. So yeah, the version with legs became known as the perfect Zeong because, I suppose that's as opposed to imperfect, like this thing is, since it was deployed without being technically finished. Yeah, because Armor, when he fought this thing, he tagged it right in the cockpit hatch, but it turns out the hatch is in the chest, and then there's like an elevator that lifts the pilot up into the head where the actual cockpit is located. So Armor tags it in the cockpit hatch and just figures, haha, I got it, and all of a sudden the head ejects and blows the Gundam's own head off. Which was fine, because the cockpit for the Gundam is in the abdomen, so Armor survived. There we go, that was a big chunk out of the enemy's reinforcements. Save time. Oh, for God's sake. Oh, the shield! This is... I need melee. I need melee. This is probably the game where you'll see me the most melee-centric and Blood Knightly, because usually I go for range, but in this game I like getting right up in your face with a beam saber or something and just hack and slash. I don't even do that in Armored Core. Which I do intend to play. I'm not sure if I should start with Armored Core 2 or 3, though. If I'm starting with the one I prefer, it's going to be Armored Core 3. Armored Core 3 was leagues better than Armored Core 2, in my opinion, but when people rate the best Armored Core games from, like, prior to Armored Core 4, because you would think that, well, there would only be 3 games prior to Armored Core 4, right? No, there's about 6, because there's, like, expansions that were released as full games and stuff like that. But yeah, when people rate the best Armored Core games prior to Armored Core 4, where the whole franchise, like, went in a direction, they usually put Armored Core 2 at the top, and I cannot understand that. Armored Core 3 was so much better. So yes, we have big ending bit. I've kind of ignored reading this, even though this is technically different and new from what we've seen. It's on the screen. I could give you a dramatic telling, but to some extent I have to talk over the music. It helps to confuse the copyright bots because I can't shut the music off.